Why, hello there. So, today I want to talk to you about something that's pretty close to my heart. For those of you who don't know or can't tell by my accent, I'm from New Zealand, and my city is actually the most tattooed city per capita in the world. Rather unsurprisingly, I myself also have tattoos. This was something that really concerned me when I first started thinking about moving to Japan, and something that really helped me with it was being able to look up other people's experiences and their stories of living in Japan with tattoos. So today I wanted to share my own experiences in the hopes that it can help someone like me. Now, I have a feeling that this video could get pretty long, so I'm going to put in little chapter thingies somewhere around here, and you can just skip to the part that you're interested in. So without further ado, let's get started. To start off with, I thought that I should tell you a little bit about my own tattoos. So I'll put some pictures in here for you. I currently have 5 tattoos, one on each wrist, one on each ankle, and one behind my right ear. They're all fairly small and easily covered. So that's enough about my tattoos. Let's get on to how they're perceived here. Let's talk about work. So the first thing that I want to make very clear is that I keep my tattoos covered at work at all times. So none of my students know that I have tattoos, and a lot of my coworkers don't know either. I wear long socks or long pants all year round to cover my ankles. I wear my hair down or to the right to cover my ear, and I wear little wrist cover glove type things to cover my wrists. And a lot of Japanese women actually wear these to stop from getting a tan in summer, so it's not as weird as it sounds. In general, in the workplace, I've come across a very don't ask, don't tell type of attitude. So none of my coworkers have ever come up to me and said, gosh, it's weird that you wear wrist covers all year round. What's up with that? So either they just don't care, or they sort of have an inkling of what's going on, but as long as my tattoos are covered and out of sight of the students, it's not really their business. So I really appreciate that attitude in the Japanese workplace. As far as students go, they might be a little bit more curious. Lots of students actually have asked me why I wear wrist covers, and I always tell them it's fashion. For some, this won't satisfy them, and they'll be like, isn't there any other reason? And I just shut them down and move on with the class, or just go about my business, whatever I'm doing. So yeah, that's the workplace in general. So general workplace rules are pretty simple. Just keep your tattoos covered. However, there are some work-related things that are a little less black and white. For example, enkai. If you don't know, enkai are work parties, or pretty much just drinking with your coworkers. As a side note, I highly recommend going to any of these that you're invited to. They're amazing fun, and you'll get to know people in a whole different way. Anyway, back on topic. I got invited to my first enkai pretty soon after I arrived in Japan, and it's probably the thing that I agonized the most over in terms of whether to show my tattoos or not. In the end, because I knew the group of teachers that were going, and I knew they were all pretty young and pretty open-minded, I decided to just wing it and have them out. It's probably one of the best decisions that I've made. We talked for so long about tattoos and their cultural history and their consequences of getting tattoos in both New Zealand and Japan, just about my tattoos specifically, about tattoos and body modification in general, just everything. The reaction was overwhelmingly positive, and to this day, when I go to enkai, we still talk about tattoos, and it's just been a really great experience. So I would say gauge who's going to be at the enkai and then decide whether or not you're comfortable with them seeing your tattoos. But in general, I think most casual enkai are pretty safe. It seems to be what happens at enkai stays at enkai kind of thing. However, of course, there have to be exceptions. It couldn't be that easy. And the 2 exceptions I will mention are Bon Enkai, which is the big end-of-year enkai, and the hello and goodbye enkai, which is like saying farewell to old coworkers and welcoming in new coworkers. So both of these are much more formal than your regular enkai. People will be wearing suits, there'll be speeches, champagne, it's a different beast entirely, pretty much. It just has a similar name. So for these, I consider these to be formal work events, and so I keep my tattoos covered at both of these, and I would recommend that you do the same. So yeah, I think that's about all that I can say about enkai, but honestly, go to those things. They're great. Okay, enough about work. Let's talk about daily life here with tattoos. So firstly, you should know that as a foreigner with tattoos, you won't be subject to the same judgment that a Japanese person with tattoos would be. A lot of the time when I've expressed concern about showing tattoos in certain places, I've been told, no, no, it's just New Zealand culture, it's fine. So that's important to know. Oftentimes when Japanese people express negative stereotypes about tattoos or say that they view tattoos in a bad way, they're only referring to other Japanese people with tattoos. And I'm not saying this is right or fair, far from it, but as someone who's looking to move to Japan or wants to live here with tattoos, it's important to know that the same stigma doesn't usually apply to you. So, often I get asked, do I cover my tattoos when I go about my daily life, like grocery shopping, etc.? And the answer is no. This is actually something that I feel quite strongly about, that your leisure time should be your time, and within reason, you should be able to act as you want and wear what you want. Quite often I see my students around my town. It's quite a small town. But so far my tattoos are small enough that even when they come up to talk to me, no one's ever noticed. But yeah, the simple answer is no, I don't cover my tattoos outside of work, and I don't intend to. Apart from that, public reactions. So I was sort of prepared for the worst when I came here. I thought like maybe people would give me dirty looks or yell at me or whatever. I was kind of nervous about it. Honestly, I barely get any reaction, and the reactions that I have got have been positive. The only time that people have reacted to my tattoos is usually when I go to pay for something and they see my wrist tattoos and they say, oh, that's cute, and that's the end of that. I've never had anyone say anything bad to me in public, ever, in Japan. So I think just like almost every country, unsolicited attention is just not going to happen. People might see them and be surprised. I've seen people looking and being surprised by me having tattoos, but people won't come up to you and say anything about it, I don't think. Or at least people have never done that to me. So please don't worry about that. So far, I've only had one negative experience in Japan because of my tattoos. Many of you probably already know that onsen are very strict about no tattoos. If you don't know, onsen are hot springs, and you go in naked, and they're usually pretty intense about their no tattoos rule. You can cover your tattoos, it's just that mine are a bit awkward to cover, and so I just decided onsen weren't for me, and that was totally fine. However, what I didn't know was that this same rule often applies to public pools and even beaches. This honestly shocked me. So a lot of pools will have signs up that say, no people with tattoos or other troublemakers. So yeah, that's a thing. I've got away with it so far by covering my tattoos at the front desk when I go to pay, and then when I get into the pool, I'll take off the covers and no one can tell because I'm underwater anyway. But if your tattoos are less easy to cover when you're in the water, that's definitely something to think about, and just something to be aware of in general. I talked to a coworker about this, and she seemed to think that my type of tattoos would have been fine anyway, and she thought that what they were really looking for was Yakuza-style tattoos. Yakuza tattoos are usually on the back or the back of the shoulder, or they're like sleeve tattoos. And they're in traditional Japanese style. So you can look up pictures of that and compare yours to see how similar they are. Unfortunately, I haven't been brave enough to test out her theory by going to the front desk of a pool with my tattoos showing, so I can't definitively answer whether or not the style and placement of your tattoo matters, but it's an interesting thing to keep in mind anyway. So yeah, I guess keep that in mind and don't be surprised or disappointed like I was. The last thing that I want to talk about is getting tattooed in Japan. Only one of my tattoos was done here, but it's my absolute favorite. Like with anywhere in the world, of course I recommend taking your time and researching many different tattoo artists until you find one who suits you. However, there are some things that are more Japan-specific that I came across when looking for my own tattoo artist. The first is that because tattoos still have a pretty bad reputation here and are sometimes associated with Yakuza or gang activities, you definitely want to find a place where you feel safe and comfortable. So make sure to keep that in mind when you're looking around. Second is English. If you don't speak Japanese, you want to make sure that you can at least communicate the basics with your tattoo artist. So email a lot of places, call a lot of places until you find someone that you feel comfortable communicating with. The last thing is not necessarily Japan specific, but I came across it a lot more here than I ever did in other places, and that is specialization. So a lot of places here specialize in certain styles of tattooing and won't actually do tattoos that aren't in that style. So always include either a description of your tattoo or a picture of the tattoo that you want so that the artist can tell you whether or not it can be done. Apart from that, despite Japanese society in general still having a somewhat negative view of tattoos, there are some incredibly highly trained and highly skilled tattoo artists here, and I've seen some just beautiful work from Japanese tattoo artists. So if you want to get a tattoo while you're here, I highly recommend it, and please don't be put off by the somewhat stigmatized view of tattoos. Okay, I think that's about it for this video. As always, if you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer all of them. This is a topic that I'm really interested in, so please do ask questions if you have any. I'm more than happy to answer. I might actually make another video on this topic at some point just because there's so much to be said, but for now, that's it, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!